lastly, all of us here really shouldn't be too concerned about a week. He was cared for in his father's home 3 months and in action. Why? Why did Moses need this kind of an outstanding education? We had leadership, had to understand the. And furthermore, he had to know the history of what had gone before. In relationship to creation story and flood stories. Because in antiquity, it's the only creation account, the one that we see in Genesis. No. Every culture, every people group had their own story about how things came into being. Same way with the flood story. Most ancient cultures had a flood story. So, what did Moses have to do in order to prepare Israel to go into the land of Canaan? That? Give them the truth. Yes. Yes. And that's why we had the first chapter of the book of Genesis. The first 11 chapters of Genesis is an apologetic. Moses wrote those 11 chapters to directly contradict the story that Israel was going to hear about creation, about the flood, and the story of Babel itself as they would work their way through the land of Canaan. Because these people had their own creation stories, the flood stories, and their power. So the first 11 chapters of Genesis exist so that the children of Israel would have an adequate and correct knowledge as they entered into the land of Canaan. Here,
where was he taught, and when did he get the revelation, do you think, of the first 11 chapters?
Well, he would have learned about all the other extant stories from all these other cultures in Egypt. Because in Egypt at that point in time, that was the center of learning. Egypt had a vast library, and it was the place to receive proper education. So while he was in Egypt, studying in Egypt, he would have received all that. How much time did God?
You know, I heard a story that when he was on the mountain and he asked God to show him his glory, God would show him his backside, which some thought meant the history, the back of time, starting with Genesis on.
That's a real stretch.
Well, yeah, but
That's a real stretch.
the point is, what you said is that God shared it with him.
Yes, God personally educated Moses on creation and the flood and all those things.
Yeah, he had to.
Yeah, that's pretty far-fetched.
I know, but I liked it.
I hope you don't like it even longer.
Well, I'm not making a doctrine on it for sure.
So I appreciate it. Back in verse 20, like I said, at this time Moses was born, he was beautiful in God's sight. He was cared for in his father's home 3 months, and when he was left outside, Pharaoh's daughter adopted and raised him as her own. So Moses was educated in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and was powerful in his speech and action. Now, let's play this for a minute. Stephen says that Moses was powerful in his speech. What was Moses' excuse to God?
Can't speak.
I can't speak. Who's right? Yeah, God's always right. Good safe answer.
Jeff, I believe I asked you this question some time ago, and you said, I think I asked you about that a while ago, but the answer was because of Aaron. Aaron was his voice, and God had sent Aaron to be with Moses so he wouldn't have that excuse. So wouldn't that lay over, I mean, it still is accredited to Moses for him speaking? Isn't that where you're getting at?
What did Aaron have that Moses didn't have in relationship with people?
The Israelites. He was one of them. Moses was kind of an outsider.
Yeah. Did he know their language very well? And Moses didn't relate with the Hebrew. No. Yeah, in the Egyptian court. And their language and their guidelines talk about that. Only his mother. Only his mother. Yeah. So Moses did not have the necessary language skills to effectively communicate with Jews. He didn't have any problem communicating with Pharaoh, did he? Did he? So, Moses was right.
Wouldn't he have still been educated in the Hebrew language though? I mean, because if they had them as slaves and the slaves worked and everything, you would think that he would still be educated in the Egyptian language and Hebrew language.
No. Because what was the slave had spoken in?
And Hebrew. Oh, well, probably Egyptian as well.
Whatever Hebrew slave had been brought into the service, the court of Pharaoh, they would have been required to be Egyptian. They would not have been allowed Hebrew. That slave.
The flow of speech meant speed.
Yes, that's how I understand it. That it was, he didn't have the necessary knowledge of the language to go to the people. And so this is what God said. God said, I got a excuse. I'll send everybody. Speak to the people.
So Hubert said he was about 40. Just a minute. He was 40. He decided to visit the Israelite.
Problem child.
Do you think he knew he was adopted? Or how would he know he had brothers and sisters?
Sure, he looked different. Sure, he looked different. But here's what we know, he's got basically 3 stages of his life. What are the 3 stages of Moses' life?
Childhood, time in the desert, and then back to Egypt to get people out.
How long does Moses live? 140 years, so it's been the first 40 years, what's the next 40? And they were just in the wilderness, yeah. So it took God 80 years. Verse 23. As he was approaching the age of 40, he decided to visit others of his life. When he saw one of them big mystery, he was rescued and the Egyptian. He told his brothers to understand that God gave them deliverance through him, but they did not understand. They chose to reject the truth. Well, when God sent Moses and Aaron, they had a very specific, plain, and clear message to people. They did what did the people choose to do? Reject it. So when he's talking about understanding here, remember how the Bible talks about ears to hear, eyes to see, relationship to see, relationship to understand.